what has happened in the Khark Island. They call it Khark, but it's Khark with K at the end in Persian.
Okay, it's hard.
It's a Khark,
okay.
yeah, it's Khark Island, yeah. And then, what is your understanding of the attack? Because the United States somehow tried to say it was a, they attacked the island by fighter jets. Later on, we've learned from the Iranian foreign minister the attack was done by HIMARS from UAE. And here is what the Iranian foreign minister said to us.
Mm-hmm.
Last night, they have attacked Khark Island and Abu Musa Island with, the artillery rocket system, HIMARS as they call it, which is a low-range rockets, and they have done it from the soil of our neighbors. And this is crystal clear that now they are using the territory of our neighbors to attack us by these kind of, rockets. And this is absolutely
Which
unacceptable.
neighbors, sir?
Well, the last night attacks were tracked by our forces, and now it is clear that they are fired from UAE, from two locations in the UAE, from in Ras Al Khaimah, and from a location very close to the city of Dubai. And it is very, dangerous that they use highly populated areas to launch, rockets against us.
Yeah, well, what's so important? He mentioned two locations, Ras Al Khaimah, and the other one was a location close to Dubai, highly populated. What was the main goal of the attack on the island, and why did they decide to attack it from UAE, from that specific locations?
Honestly, I never actually I've seen on a map there's an island there, but I never looked closely on that until all this started, which I'm going to have to go closely to the little tourist part, because I've been reading, listening to other people describe it. Apparently, there is a very ancient Christian monastery there. There are catacombs there. There was a couple cities there. So apparently, from a historical point of view, this was a very ancient location. I think there has an UNESCO heritage site on there. So, and the monastery is still active, so it's full of people. I think it's a women's monastery. So this is not just a small island in the middle of nowhere, because all they talk about is that it has oil fueling station. Oil fuel station. It's where the fuelers, the tankers, they come up and you pour the oil into them. I'm not sure why I'm having trouble communicating right now. One drink of coffee, and we start over. It's a oil fueling station. So normally in these places, you may have a series of infrastructures that, for example, clean the oil. Like in Sakhalin, where I used to be a consultant at these places, an oil and gas consultant, you'll have a station that cleans the oil. So because when you get the oil out of the ground, you have all kinds of contaminants in there, sand, other chemicals, other minerals, different things, whatever comes out of the ground with it. You have to filter all that out, clean it out. Sometimes you even get dead animals. Amazingly, somehow they make their way in. Things like that have been found in pipelines. How the hell did a squirrel get in? Everybody got in there somehow. So you clean all that out, and then more modern versions is somewhere just a little offshore. You'll have a big spigot. I mean, it literally looks like a giant spigot, and the tanker comes underneath it, and it just starts filling in whatever. Well, depending on the setup, if it's just one big tank or multiple tanks in that tanker, and it fills them up with oil, and then they leave, and the next one comes up, and so on. That way, they don't have to actually get close to the port or get close to the shoreline. That's the infrastructure there. Now there's a desalination plant there that's been hit. And there's apparently 30 villages. I don't know how they fit 30 villages. They're probably very, very small settlement points on that island from the people living there. they were dependent on that for fresh water. And then there's that site, and there's a couple military sites that were located around it to protect it. Well, the U.S. apparently has blown up the military sites, and while the ATACMS were firing, I've seen the videos of them firing somewhere near Dubai. They're not firing from the inside the city. They're in a desert environment right outside the city. And if you've been to Dubai, the city ends pretty quickly. You just get to the end of it, and then there's a sand dune. So they're firing somewhere from there, near the coast. But I doubt it was only ATACMS missiles, because each HIMARS only carries one ATACMS missile. MLRSs carry 2 ATACMS missiles. So, there wouldn't be, it have to be a prolonged fire, because there's only a couple of HIMARS, which are wheeled vehicles to fire. So you'd have to go back, reload. It's a big missile. It's a big enough missile. It's pretty heavy. So you need a crane to reload it, and or change the block. Usually it's a launch box that they put on there, the missiles inside. It shoots out, and then you take it off, put another one on there, drive out, shoot. So again, it's heavy enough. So it would be slow. So more likely they did both. They did standoff air fire from fighters. Standoff means is they're not going to get anywhere too close to the Iranian airspace, because then they're going to get shot by any anti-air systems that supposedly don't exist anymore, but they keep firing. I don't know how they do this. It's the ghost of the anti-air. They just keeps firing. Because if we believe Trump, Iran surrendered, I think, 3 times now. It surrendered to the Arabs, it surrendered to the Americans. You just said it surrendered again. And I don't think anybody's telling the Iranians they've surrendered. They don't seem to be getting the message that they've surrendered already, because they keep firing. Just like they don't get the message from Trump that everything's been destroyed. There's nothing left. But they keep firing. Trump's, by the way, has already said that I don't understand why they haven't surrendered, or they haven't given up. Okay, this is literally the idiocy we're dealing with. Well, they destroyed the military locations. They haven't touched the oil. And Trump said in this megalomaniac, I have not touched the oil because, the oil facilities, but I could do that, if you don't surrender, I'll do that. Well, the Iranians say, okay, you do that. We take out everybody else's oil facilities up and down the whole Gulf coast. And then what do you do? And they could do it. I don't know how, because everything's been destroyed, but apparently they still have somehow the ghost of the ballistic missile systems keep firing. It keeps landing because, again, if you listen to Trump, there's nothing left in Iran, but they keep firing. So who do you believe? You believe your eyes when you see the missiles going up, or do you believe Trump? Of course you believe Trump. So they haven't destroyed it, because if Iran destroys everything on the other side, and by the way, apparently some of the firing has been coming also from Bahrain, and it's under a big question whether the king of Bahrain is actually still in Bahrain. There's been rumors he fled along with his family, because Bahrain is going up in smoke right now from the Shia revolt. So yeah, if that goes down, then oil's going to hit 200 for sure. Because at that point, everybody and their grandpa, no matter how stupid they are going to realize, you can open the straits tomorrow, but there's not going to be any oil. As it is, even if you open the straits tomorrow, there's going to be problems with oil getting out, fresh oil getting out. A lot of tankers have been destroyed or damaged. Some of them are in the way. They have to be dredged. And this all becomes a big issue. But yeah, so far, that's the situation on that island. Is this the only way Iran can get oil out? No. Iran actually has like 5 port locations that they can get out. This is just the biggest one. So if it's destroyed, it's a problem for Iran. Absolutely. It's a hit on the economy. Not that much oil is getting out anyways, even Iranian oil right now, because of all the things. Some is, which, by the way, is pissing the Americans off, because some Iranian oil is still getting out through their. Amazingly, they've let their own oil out through their own blockade. I know, how could that be? But it would be a hit. It would be a hit. But the thing is, with the Americans, you got to understand why they told the Israelis to back the hell off from hitting the oil infrastructure. They want the oil infrastructure. Just in case there's nuclear weapons underneath. That's why they want. No other reason. Yeah. The American reason for this war is mutating at incredible speeds. If you listen from day one to any one day, you'd never understand really. It's every day is a different reason why we've started this war with Iran. It's amazing to listen to this mutation because they don't know how to sell this war. They can't sell the war. There's no popular support for war. Even from day one, when normally people rally around the flag in America, there is no popular support for this war from day one. The population has been against it, so it's constantly changing. But we can tell they want the oil infrastructure. They want to control it at least. So that's why they don't want to destroy it. And the threat of Iran destroying up and down the coast, destroying a lot of what is American-owned oil infrastructure.
Stas, what we've learned from the Iranian media, it seems that the 60% of the oil reserve in this island was somehow evacuated. They moved it out from this island before the war started, 60%. And since the war started, they have been exporting the oil from this island. I don't know how much more do they have in that island. That's, I think, I'm so skeptical. I'm so doubtful about what do they have, what has remained in those, tankers in this island. And on the other hand, you've mentioned the attack coming from, one of the main arguments on the part of these Arab states that we are not part of the war, we are not participating in this war. But Iran recently has attacked, these refueling tankers, these airplane refueling tankers in Saudi Arabia, for example. In one attack, they have hit 5 of them, these airplanes. Is there any way that we can say that these countries have not been part of the war so far? Because from what we've seen, the attacks coming from these countries, the intelligence coming from these countries, they're part of the war. How can someone argue that they're not? Because before coming to this live, I was watching, Fareed Zakaria on CNN. He's saying the most stupid decision on the part of Iranians was to attack, the Arab states, these Arab. How can one come with such an argument that the attack is stupid when Iran knows the level of intelligence, the attacks, how these countries were used so far to attack Iran?
First of all, most of what Iran was attacking was not these countries, was attacking American bases there. A lot of the incoming ordnance was shot down over these cities by the Americans in the first days. So, there's this amazing thing called physics and gravity. And what goes up comes down, even if it comes down in many little pieces. And when you take something out in the air over a city, amazingly, it comes down over that city. So it's going to do damage. That's one. Two, the U.S. military really didn't evacuate the troops the way it said. I mean, it supposedly dropped down from 56,000 to 26,000. So somewhere 30,000 American military disappeared. But turned out a lot of them just disappeared to the hotels. In fact, they were posting videos of the bases getting hit out of hotels. And one of them starts panicking and he's flipping his camera around. And you see this really luxurious room. It's like, yeah, that does not look like something that the military gets. They're not bad housing, what they get overall, especially over there. But they don't get like a luxury hotel room. So these guys were being housed in these hotel rooms to be outside the base. And some of those areas and some of these hotels, they were convening staffs, military staff, and the Iranians were hitting those hotels to get at those staffs. You basically turn it a hotel, you rent it and turn it into a barracks or a command post. And got it. Some of these governments, there was subterfuge going on in that, for example, the Saudis who said our airspace is neutral, but really were allowing U.S. fighters to fly through, fighter bombers, F-35s, F-18s. And that came up when somebody either on purpose or accidentally didn't switch out the transponder. And the whole flight route got logged worldwide. So that, whoops, moment. But the Saudis, for what I've heard from very, very good sources, The Saudis have told the Americans there to go bugger themselves. They're not going to involve themselves in this war. In fact, we saw Lindsey Graham, lighting the loafers, screaming and hollering at the Saudis that, why do we protect you? But you don't protect them. That's the whole friggin' point. Why do we protect you? You have to get in there now. You have to get in the fight, blah, 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 blah. The usual, I think I'm stoned and I'm getting lots of cha-ching out of every missile firing, Lindsey Graham. So, in that moment, and the Saudis are at least smart enough to go, no, we're not getting involved in this fight. Because they get involved in the fight, they may not have a country when it's over. From several directions, including the Yemenis, who the Saudis took several provinces from, which, by the way, have lots of oil in them, and they're Shia sitting on top of that. Never mind, most of their oil locations, they're Shia populated. Their economy would be destroyed for a very long time. Their water desalination plants would be destroyed, so they couldn't feed water to most of their population. And who knows, the Jordanians might grow a spine and remember that the Hashemites were the caretakers of Mecca and Medina, not House of Saud. And they may decide, while we're at it, let's go take that back too. So the Saudis very quickly may find themselves out of a country. So they were smart enough to go, nah, we're going to stay neutral. And what I've heard is they told the Americans, you're on your own. Don't look for help. Don't look for us to evacuate your bases. You're on your own. The other thing I learned, and as somebody that spent, I was an armor officer and I spent lots of time in the infantry. So this was shocking to me when I learned this. Those bases, American bases there, they don't have bunkers. They don't have bunkers. There's no place to hide. They were so on the first thing, they were so convinced that this would be 3-4 days, just like before. It's a showcase, death by 1,000 cuts, even though the Iranians said, we're going to just whack everything. If no matter how big the hit you bring on us, we're just going off on everything. But they didn't believe it. And two, they were so sure of the anti-air systems. Well, even if the anti-air system, and they did do a lot of damage in destroying what was coming in with the anti-air system, though not nearly enough, obviously, at first. But this is going on and going on and going on. And even if you have the best anti-air system in the world, you will run out of ordnance sooner or later. We're on day 17. Almost day 17, where I'm located. So we've got half an hour, and it'll be day 17. So much for 4 days. They ran out of ordnance a long time ago. And Iran is now just working them over. There were 5 Stratos tankers burning that got hit yesterday. Now they're just working over. And from what I've heard, they're looking at possibly evacuating all personnel off a lot of these bases. They have no defenses. And so far, the Iranians have not gone after the troops in a kind of meaningful way. They're destroying the equipment and everything else. Tomorrow, they decide to finally go after the American troops. Mass casualties. They got no place to hide. They have no bunkers. As an infantryman, I thought, how do you hell not dig a bunker? Especially if you're under possible threat. How do you not dig a bunker? They never dug any bunkers. They don't have bunkers. Which is, again, I don't know how many times I can say it. To me, it's just like, the sun is square. It's a cube. It's not a sphere. It's that level of what? But apparently, yeah. So they are screwed. They're screwed beyond all reality at this point. Their own making. I mean, you've got to be dumber than a box of rocks with just one rock in it and still be that dumb to not build bunkers. But apparently they didn't. So they don't know what to do. And Iran, if tomorrow Iran ups the ante, there's several ways Iran can up the ante. Obviously, it could start really going after American troops. Seriously going after American troops on these bases. And they're going to have, there's already a lot more casualties than what the U.S. is admitting to. I'd probably multiply their figures by a 9 or 10 to get closer to reality. But it could be a hell of a lot more than that. Many times more than that. That's one. Two, Iran can take out the infrastructure all up and down, the oil infrastructure. Iran, by the way, has given American companies notice, get the hell out, get your people out, because the U.S. hit Iranian industries And they said, that's it. We're going to take out every American factory, any kind of manufacturing plant up and down the Persian Gulf. They're going. So they gave them a warning, fair warning. Get your people out, because now you're the target. We'll see if they do it or not. And then if it ever goes really to desalination war, Iran can easily wipe most of the population out on the Persian side, on the southern Persian, on the Arab side of the Persian Gulf, because countries like Bahrain, Qatar, they're 100% reliant on the water from desalination. Saudi Arabia is like 70, 80% reliant. The Israelis are said to be 75. I talked to a former Israeli the other day who moved to Russia. He's not. He's actually a Safarid Jew. He hates Israel. Moved out of there, and he was telling me it's not 75. 75%. They have enough water to feed the people. They don't have enough water for agriculture, and that's all going to agriculture. Of course, that would destroy a very large sector in the Israeli economy if that happened. So it's, do you really want to go down this road? And I mean, let's be frank, the Persian Gulf, the Arab states are artificial entities. When I went to Dubai, good Lord, I guess it was 2013. I was there for, I was a director, regional director in Halliburton for supply chain over Eurasia. And we had a big staff meeting there. So I went there, part of a big staff meeting. And when I flew there, I want to go see, I like historic places. I like ancient sites. So I was like, I'm going to go look at historic Dubai. And I can't find anything on historic Dubai, period. Nothing. Nothing anywhere written. I'm walking around there. I asked around. They're like, historic Dubai was a mud brick fort in a tiny village. There is no historic Dubai. That's all Dubai was. It was a tiny little port and one little warlord's, mud brick fortress, if you can call it that. Keep. That's it. So this whole city of Dubai is an artificial entity built out of the desert, just like every one of those cities. Bahrain was a very tiny population. Qatar was a very tiny population. So the Arab population that's native to there grew very quickly, which it wouldn't have. Plus all these people they've imported to serve them grew very quickly. They can't feed them themselves. They have to import food, which, by the way, is going to be a very big issue very soon. It's day 17. There aren't exactly too many planes and ships coming in full of produce. So they're going to be running out of produce, and starvation is going to start kicking in. If this continues for another month, for example, or 2 months, there's going to be massive humanitarian crisis. And if you take out the desalination plant, a person in a desert, 1 day without water, man, that's it. And that kind of heat, the heat's is coming up right now. The heat there gets 55 degrees Celsius. 50, 55, in the shade it'll be 50. Without water, you're not going to survive more than a day, maybe day and a half. And if the electricity is knocked down, there's no air conditioning, you're in that heat. Oh, that's a massive humanitarian catastrophe. Like something we've probably never seen before yet on that scale that quickly. This isn't starvation in Africa where a person can starve for weeks before he dies. Depending on what he's taking in. This is, 2 days with no water. Bye-bye 100 million people. That level. It's mind-boggling. But yeah, that's a situation that America has unleashed on everybody. Congratulations, Mr. Trump, for the peace president, peace of the grave, the graveyard. What he's created with the situation he and Netanyahu are creating is a massive human catastrophe.